On my planet, resources move freely. Energy, food, shelter, everything is distributed by need and contribution, and no one spends years paying for something they already used. But on Earth, I found something much stranger. Humans do not only use money, many of them live owing money they do not even have yet, and they call this debt. At first, I thought debt was some kind of flaw, a crack in the human system, maybe a mistake that had spread too far. But the longer I watched, the clearer it became. Debt is not sitting at the edges of human civilization. It is one of the engines. It helps humans buy homes, study for careers, build businesses, survive emergencies, and fill the gap between what they need now and what they can actually afford. On Earth, millions of humans are not only living on money they earned, they are living on money promised by their future selves. I kept observing one human in particular. Her name is Lena. She is 29 years old. She lives in a crowded city, and every morning her alarm rings at 6:30. She opens her eyes, reaches for her phone, checks the time, and then almost immediately checks her bank balance. I found that detail especially interesting. Before food, before sunlight, before speaking to another human, first, the numbers. Then she gets up, makes coffee, gets dressed, and steps into the flow of the city, joining thousands of other humans moving through traffic, trains, and crowded sidewalks toward work. By 9 a.m., Lena is at her desk, answering messages, solving small problems, sitting in meetings, clicking through screens, moving tasks forward, and hour by hour she converts pieces of her life into income. At the end of the month, that income arrives. Humans call it a salary, but when Lena gets paid, something strange happens. The money appears, and then it starts disappearing. Rent, car payment, student loan, credit card bill, utilities, insurance, groceries. The numbers come in, then the numbers go out, very quickly. What fascinated me most was this. Many of these payments are not for things Lena is choosing today. They are for things she already chose. Her education, her car, purchases from months ago, decisions made by an earlier version of herself. In other words, Lena is not only working for the present, she is also working for the past. And on Earth, this is normal. That was the part I struggled to understand. Why would a species build a system where so much of daily life is shaped by old promises? Why build a civilization where tomorrow's labor is so often used to pay for yesterday's decisions? To answer that, I had to go backward. Long before banks, apps, loans, and credit cards, humans traded directly. A farmer had grain, a potter had bowls, a builder had tools, and if each person wanted what the other had, they could trade. Simple, but only when the timing worked. If the farmer needed tools but the toolmaker did not need grain, the trade failed. That was the weakness of barter. It depended on coincidence. So humans invented something clever: money. Money gave them a shared way to store value, which meant they could sell now and buy later. A farmer could exchange wheat for money, then use that money another day, in another place, with another person. Trade became easier, markets got bigger, cities grew, and then humans made another leap. They realized they did not always have to wait until they had the money. They could borrow. A farmer could borrow seeds before harvest. A merchant could borrow funds before a trip. A builder could begin before having every resource in hand. And all of it depended on one idea, a promise. Give me value now, and I will repay you later. That was one of the earliest forms of debt. At first, it was practical, even reasonable. Debt helped humans act sooner, build sooner, grow sooner. It let them move ahead of their current limits. And once human societies discovered that power, they never really let it go. Now look at modern life. Lena would like to own a home one day, but where she lives, homes cost far more than she could ever pay up front. To save that amount while also paying for daily life would take many years, maybe decades. So humans built a system for that, too. A bank offers her a mortgage. The bank gives her the money now, and Lena promises to repay it slowly over 20 or 30 years. When I first studied this arrangement, I had two thoughts. First, clever. Second, terrifying. Because yes, Lena gets the home now, but in exchange, a large part of her future income is no longer fully hers. It already has a destination. The same logic appears again and again across human life. Education works like this. A young human is told that studying will improve their future. Better job, better salary, better stability. But education can be expensive, so they borrow. This means a human who has barely entered adulthood makes a financial deal with the person they hope to become 10 years later. I found that remarkable. A teenager looks into a future they cannot see clearly and says that person will handle it. Sometimes they are right, sometimes they are very wrong. Credit cards push this even further. A human sees something they want, a phone, a table, a plane ticket, a machine to make life easier, and instead of waiting, they swipe a small plastic card. Instantly, the object becomes theirs, and this is one of the most powerful illusions in the human economy. The purchase feels complete, but it's not complete. The object arrives now, the consequences arrive later. And if the human cannot repay the full amount quickly, interest begins to grow. Interest is one of the strangest things humans ever normalized. They borrow money, then repay more than they borrowed, not because the object changed, not because the past changed, but because time passed. On Earth, time can make old purchases more expensive, and the longer the debt survives, the heavier it becomes. That's why debt feels useful in the beginning and heavy later. At first, it creates momentum. It says yes when reality says not yet. It opens the door early. It allows humans to move into homes, get degrees, buy transportation, survive emergencies, and maintain the appearance of stability. But later, the monthly payments remain, quietly, consistently, waiting. Lena feels that pressure every month. She is not collapsing, she is functioning, working, paying, continuing, and from the outside she looks fine, but the structure of her life has already been shaped by what she owes. She cannot casually stop working for a few months and figure things out. She cannot ignore her responsibilities for long. She cannot fully relax into uncertainty, because uncertainty is dangerous when payments are scheduled. This is where debt stops being just a financial tool and becomes a behavioral force. Debt changes how humans choose. It rewards routine, predictability, obedience to the calendar. Wake up, work, get paid, pay bills, repeat. From the perspective of the larger system, this is efficient. Workers stay active, banks earn interest, businesses keep selling, the economy keeps moving. But from the perspective of the individual human, it can feel like living inside an invisible cage made of due dates. And the danger becomes clear when something goes wrong. If Lena loses her job, the debt does not disappear. If she gets sick, the payments don't pause out of kindness. If prices rise, if rent rises, if her hours are cut, if an emergency hits, the system does not become gentle. That's when debt reveals its second face, not progress, pressure, not possibility, consequence. And this doesn't only happen to individual humans, it happens to entire societies. When large numbers of humans borrow heavily and then the economy shifts, the system starts to shake. Interest rates rise, incomes fall, home prices collapse, jobs disappear, and suddenly millions of people are trying to keep promises under conditions that no longer resemble the world they expected. That's when houses are lost, savings vanish, fear spreads, governments intervene, experts argue on glowing screens. And yet, even after crises, debt always comes back. I kept asking myself why, and the answer is simple: because it works, or at least it works well enough for humans to keep choosing it. A world without debt would move more slowly. Fewer homes would be bought, fewer companies would start, fewer students would enter expensive schools, fewer people would bridge the gap between what they need now and what they can actually afford. Debt speeds up everything. It allows humans to pull the future toward the present, and humans seem deeply attached to speed. That may reveal something important about them. Humans are willing to make deals with versions of themselves they have never met. They trust their future energy, their future discipline, their future income, their future luck. Debt is not only financial, it's psychological, emotional, a statement of belief. The student believes in the future graduate. The renter believes in the future homeowner. The entrepreneur believes in the future successful company. Debt is a bet on the person a human hopes they will become, and sometimes that bet changes everything. When it works, the results are extraordinary. Debt helped humans build railways, factories, power grids, research labs, suburbs, technology firms, and entire industries. Some of the biggest structures in human civilization were not built with money already available. They were built with confidence in future production. That is what makes debt so powerful and so dangerous. Without it, growth slows. With too much of it, the system becomes unstable. Humans know this, but they never solve it completely. They regulate, adjust, tighten, loosen, lower rates, raise rates, warn, react, repeat. It is like watching mechanics repair a giant engine while it is still running at full speed. And inside that engine are ordinary people like Lena, humans trying to build decent lives while carrying old decisions into the future, month after month, payment after payment. When debt first appeared, it was simple, a promise. I need something now, I will repay you later. But over time, that small promise became one of the deepest forces in human civilization. It shapes where people live, what jobs they keep, what risks they take, what dreams they delay, and how much stress they carry in silence. From where I stand, this is both brilliant and unsettling. Humans invented that to make life move faster than savings alone would allow, and it worked. It helped them build cities, companies, inventions, networks, opportunity. But it also created a world where many people wake up already owing part of themselves to the past. That may be the strangest part of all. On Earth, many humans are not just spending money, they are spending pieces of their future.